Hello, everybody. And sorry, I'm a bit late, but chairing a committee of environment, climate change, health and food safety is a major entertainment. And I just come from a health conference in the Parliament on rare diseases, and we have so many of them. It's incredible. But thanks for the invitation. I was pleased to say yes to this important conference. A decade of research in food and traceability of what's in food. And I can tell you, out of the many issues in the European Parliament, those upon food are the most exciting, because we get the most public response, and immediately if something happens with food, the people are alerted, the media are alerted, and therefore debates are not always easy, because everybody is concerned that what we are eating is safe and sound, and that we have healthy food in our supermarkets or wherever we buy what we eat. In fact, the answer is yes, that we need research, no doubt. I think that is what is the basis of how we can inform our consumers and how we can be sure that the food is in a good shape. And I can tell you that already 10 years ago, you speak about a decade of research, it was the Parliament on a resolution on the Commission white paper on food safety that we argued, and I quote, there must be certain guiding principles for all legislation in the field of food safety, an important aspect of which is to ensure traceability throughout the food chain, from fodder and primary producers to the retail trade, so that all ingredients are fully traceable at all stages in all foods in every location. You could see that the Parliament is, of course, very ambitious and maximalistic, that we want to have it from farm to fork traceability to really examine and understand what happens in the food chain. And in order not to leave this an empty shell, we called the Commission in the 6th framework program, now we are going for the 7th one, to really provide the necessary money and budget lines to enhance and adapt the food safety research and to extend it to cover consumer concerns. And you might know that in the 90s there has been quite a lot of food crisis where BSE or dioxins have been only the most prominent ones. And I think since then, since the year 2000, a decade ago, we have from farm to fork approach, and that a lot of things have been achieved. Among the achievements, I think, is to mention the coverage of the entire food chain, including the manufacture of animal feedstuffs. Then primary responsibility for food safety attributed to producers. They are responsible. Industry and suppliers of raw materials. Then traceability of products along the food chain. Food safety policy to be confirmed by scientific opinions and, when appropriate, by the precautionary principle. And then establishment of an effective control system and evaluation compliance with EU standards in the food safety and quality sectors within the EU and in third countries in relation to their exports to the EU and the imports in the EU. A lot has been done, but just recently you remember the EHEC outbreak in Germany, and we can see there are still deficits and lacks of good coordination and improved enforcement of rules on food labelling and traceability. In the Parliament we had two major pieces of legislation where traceability played a big role. I think you have spoken about it. I then repeat that genetically modified organisms are something that are worrying many people in Europe. unlike as it is in the US. It seems that in the US there is at least not such a strong movement to know more about GMOs. In Europe, that's the case. We know from all Eurobarometer surveys that most people don't want GMOs in their food. And we know as well that in the 27 member states the approaches are different from one country to the other. Some are completely GMO-free and others allow the cultivation. So the Commission made that piece of legislation to allow member states to decide on their own. The Parliament finally, after lots of debates, has followed this approach, but we asked for traceability. And there is a deficit in GMO traceability, and I think a lot of research has to be done to cover the whole template. You saw and heard about the European Court of Justice judgments on GMO and honey. This is a bomb on the honey market, and we see what will be the follow-up. So you could say that this is an important issue. The other piece of legislation was the Novel Food Directive. There, again, the focus was on cloned animals. We have, again, a different situation across the Atlantic. In the US, Canada, Argentina, and Brazil, they clone the animals. In Europe, again, we are more cautious and don't see even a necessity to clone animals. And the Parliament was asking traceability, not only for the clones, because that is easy, but for the descendants. And the Commission told us that this is not possible. We have no system of traceability. So there will be now a separate legislation later this year or early next year for the whole cloning issue. And I think without traceability, the Parliament would not accept this new legislation. Again, there's a lot of research and effort necessary. Unfortunately, with the failed conciliation process on the Novel Food Directive, we didn't succeed to have the legislation on nanomaterials in food. At the end, Parliament and Council had agreed on how we approach this issue. This is now in the air. And I think when I observe the debate in many of our member states, consumers want to be informed whether there are nanoparticles in or not. And I hope that both legislation, novel food on the one side and then the separate cloning directive will come quite soon. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to join you in order to tell you that in the citizen chamber of the European Parliament that we are, I think MEPs are really concerned with food and feed. And when I see last Sunday we had elections in Berlin and there came one party in the Parliament of Berlin, the Pirates. You know them from Sweden. And their whole issue is transparency, so on anything. And I would say in the EU we have good quality standards. I think we have no hesitation to inform our citizens and our consumers. And I think more and more the people want to know really. Maybe not on everything they buy, but in general they want to know what they buy and what they eat. And therefore I welcome very much your effort the whole day to go closer into this topic. And I wish you all success, and the Parliament will be your partner. Thank you very much.
Joe Leinen there. Thank you very much indeed. Foreseeing a time when the pirates take over the European Commission. That will be interesting to witness.